to the soft, filtered light. The room is simple, woven mats, low seating, a few wooden chests. And there, carefully arranged, are the manuscripts. Some are stacked neatly, others stored in boxes or wrapped in cloth. A few rest inside leather bindings that have aged into deep, rich tones. There's no glass display case, no alarm system, just layers of care, built over time. And strangely, it works. The walls here are thick, sometimes up to half a meter or more, made from a mixture of mud, straw, and other natural materials. This isn't just convenient building material. It's a form of insulation. During the day, the walls absorb heat slowly, preventing sudden thaw increases inside. At night, they release that heat gradually, smoothing out temperature swings. It's like the house is breathing very slowly. You sit quietly, noticing how the air moves. There's a small opening near the top of the wall, just enough to allow a gentle flow of air. Not a breeze, exactly, but a subtle circulation that keeps the room from becoming stagnant. And here's the clever part. These homes aren't designed to fight the heat. They're designed to delay it. Instead of trying to make the interior cold, which would be nearly impossible without modern tools, they create a buffer, a lag. By the time the outside heat fully penetrates the walls, the day is already cooling down again. It's a bit like procrastinating, but in a highly effective architectural way. A member of the household moves quietly nearby, adjusting a cloth covering one of the manuscript stacks. There's no urgency in the motion, just a practiced habit. You get the sense that this is part of a daily rhythm. Small, consistent actions that, over time, make a big difference. A quirky detail. Some families use specific rooms, often interior ones with no direct sunlight, as dedicated storage spaces for their manuscripts. These rooms could remain noticeably cooler than the rest of the house, creating a kind of natural cool zone. Not quite a refrigerator, but honestly, given the circumstances, pretty impressive. You glance around again, noticing how the manuscripts are positioned. They're not pressed tightly against the walls, where heat might transfer more directly. Instead, they're slightly elevated, sometimes placed on wooden stands or layered with cloth beneath them. Every little choice matters. Historians still argue whether these storage methods were consciously optimized for preservation or simply evolved through generations of observation and necessity. Did someone one day think, yes, thermal buffering via earthen mass? Or did they just notice that books lasted longer in certain spots and stick with it? Either way, the result is the same. The manuscripts endure. You pick up, carefully, respectfully, a wrapped bundle that's been set aside. The outer cloth is soft, worn from use, but still intact. Beneath it, you can feel the firmness of the pages, protected from direct exposure to air and light. You don't unwrap it. That feels like crossing a line. But even holding it, you sense the quiet weight of it. Not just physically, but historically. This object has likely outlasted generations, surviving heat, dust, and time itself. And all of that, inside a house that looks, from the outside, completely ordinary. There's something almost poetic about that. In a world where we often associate knowledge with grand institutions, universities, libraries, massive archives, Timbuktu offers a different model. One where knowledge is personal, intimate, integrated into daily life. You imagine children growing up in this space, hearing stories about the manuscripts, watching elders handle them with care, learning, without formal lessons, that these objects matter, that they're worth protecting. And perhaps that's part of the secret. Because while architecture plays a crucial role, the thick walls, the airflow, the shading, it's the people who make it all work. Their habits, their respect, their quiet consistency. Without that, even the best designed space would fall short. A soft sound draws your attention. A page turning in another room. Somewhere, someone is reading. Not for display, not for performance, just for the sake of it. And you realize that these libraries aren't static. They're alive. Not in a dramatic, animated way, no books flying off shelves or whispering secrets, but in the sense that they're used, engaged with, passed down. The knowledge inside them continues to move, to influence, to exist beyond the physical pages. You stand slowly, taking one last look at the room. The manuscripts sit quietly, wrapped and resting, protected by layers of mud, cloth, and human care. Outside, the sun still blazes, the desert still stretches endlessly, and the heat still presses in with quiet determination. But in here, for now, there's balance. And as you step back toward the doorway, you carry with you a deeper understanding. These libraries don't need walls in the way you expected, because the entire home, every inch of it, is already doing the work. You step back outside, and the desert immediately reminds you who's in charge. The sun is no longer gentle. It's fully committed now, pouring down heat with the kind of enthusiasm that suggests it has absolutely nothing else planned for the day. Your first instinct is to squint, your second is to regret not bringing, well, literally anything modern. A hat, sunglasses, a portable fan, a full air conditioning unit strapped to your back. All reasonable ideas, honestly, but the people of Timbuktu don't have those luxuries. And yet, their manuscripts, fragile, handwritten, irreplaceable, have survived here for centuries, which raises a quiet but persistent question. How? You walk along the edge of the city, where the buildings thin out and the desert begins to reclaim its space. The wind stirs gently, lifting fine grains of sand into the air. It doesn't look dramatic. No swirling sandstorm, but you can feel it, brushing against your skin, slipping into folds of fabric, settling into places it absolutely wasn't invited. Now imagine that same sand finding its way into delicate pages, into ink, into bindings. Not ideal. The desert presents three main threats to manuscripts: heat, dryness, and dust. Each one works slowly, almost politely, but together they form a kind of quiet persistence that's hard to resist. Heat, for one, can weaken paper fibers over time, making them brittle. Ink can fade or even crack under prolonged exposure. And dryness, while helpful in preventing mold, can cause materials to become stiff and fragile. It's like the desert is trying to preserve and destroy things at the same time. A bit confusing, very on brand. Mainstream historical understanding tells us that many of Timbuktu's manuscripts date back to between the 13th and 17th centuries, covering subjects like Islamic law, astronomy, mathematics, and medicine. These weren't just decorative objects, they were working texts studied and used, which makes their survival even more impressive. You pause near a wall, placing your hand against it. The surface is warm, but not scorching. The thickness of the mud brick slows the heat, spreading it out over time. It's not eliminating the heat, it's managing it. And that's the key, because out here you don't win against the desert. You negotiate with it. A man nearby adjusts a cloth covering over a bundle. The fabric is light in color, reflecting sunlight rather than absorbing it, and loosely wrapped, allowing a thin layer of air to remain trapped inside. That air acts as insulation, slowing the transfer of heat to whatever is inside. The simple,